Silvermine was such an important part of my life and my education and everything that's happened since then. I don't know. Anyway, the food's here. And I guess we should make our way up to it and eat. Anybody else want to say something?
Now's the time. If you want to.
Anybody want to say something? It's time.
After we eat, we're having a roast of Stuart. So he's prepared things.
Very briefly before we eat, I'd like to say one quick thing, which I've repeated already a little bit earlier this evening, and that's George Chaplin, who I've visited a couple of times over the last few years, said something about his career after Silvermine when he went to Trinity and taught there. It was an auxiliary course. It was mostly business students, and so he said that being at Silvermine was a very intense experience for him where everybody's primary focus was on art and being deeply involved in it. And he said there was nothing like that in his life afterwards. And his comment, I believe, at one of the reunions and to me again when we met a few times, was we didn't know how lucky we were. And that he thinks of that period of time quite often. And I think that captures at least a lot of what I think we all experience, and one of the reasons that we're all here. Stuart also mentioned when we were hanging the show that it's very nerve-wracking to have a show that's totally uncurated, where people send whatever they want, okay? And it just shows up, and you have to figure out how to hang it. When it was all done and up, it got the full seal of approval of the Unison Arts Center. I think the show looks stunning. Everybody who's worked here, I think, is pretty amazing. So, yeah, and thank you, Stuart.
And also Chet Augustine, who helped tremendously in making this thing happen. So Nora Blank sent her work from Vancouver, British Columbia. Beth Shaw sent her work from Germany.
Nora Blank still owes her money.
Well, this is quite wild. I mean, 40 years later, and to see actually, it's really impressive to see that everybody is still working away in some way, shape, or form.
It's amazing seeing everybody here and getting to reacquaint after all this time with everybody here from Silvermine, which was, in fact, one of the most inspiring experiences of my learning life. And and I'm looking at this painting thinking that when I started at Silvermine, I thought I was going to be a realist painter and start doing realist work. Within less than 3 weeks, I was painting just like Jackson Pollock, Willem de Kooning, and it lost all of that stuff. So it's taken me all this time, how many years later, 40 years later, to kind of get back to the idea of working in a realist form, but there's always that abstract kind of base to it. So
I looked through a bunch of art college catalogs in the cardboard box at Art and Design High School, and the one for Silvermine had a picture of a barn, and I was going to high school in the middle of Manhattan. So the idea of doing art in a barn really appealed to me. I wanted to get out of the city. So my mom drove me up. I met Bob Gray, who was very kind, a real gentleman, and I told him that I really didn't have a lot of money, and he said, well, if you work 15 hours a week in the library, I'll cut your tuition in half. So I said, okay. He said, okay. I went home. It was not at all like today, trying to get my daughter into college. You reach school, you save school, you're all this other finagling and whatever. But from Silvermine, I learned how to draw, and I hope it shows that I learned how to draw.
I was an older student. I had already been to college. I didn't need a degree, and I studied art history and wanted to. Felt like my last chance as a 21-year-old to explore making art. So I had a friend who had gone, Reese Burka, who had gone to Silvermine, and he recommended it. So I went on a kind of sort of exploratory way and just attended classes. And so for me, the task was to move from the study of art history to the making of art, which was, the school helped me make that transition through the teachers who were fabulous. It was all part of what was going on in the time. In this early 70s is when I was involved, and the culture was opening up like at lightning speed, so it was part of something much, much larger. The kind of experiment, the sense of possibility, the sense of cross-disciplinary exploration, all of that was going on. So it was sort of a moment in time as well as a place.
Silvermine was an extraordinary place, and I've taught in many schools since then, and very few have ever matched the whimsical quality of that school. And I don't think it's possible to create a school like that anymore. In fact, I know it's impossible. So it was a very special place, and much to say about it. It will never happen again, but I'm delighted that it did happen.
It is wonderful and a rare opportunity, and kudos go to Stuart Bigley for putting this all together. Some of these people I have not seen in 4 decades. And if I were to describe the experience of Silvermine, I would say it was eclectic. The art education was intense and eclectic. There were numerous points of view and ways of approaching art and disciplining yourself. For a guy of 19 years old, it presented itself as sort of an intake session where I took in a lot of different information. And it was the beginning of my toolbox, if you will, that would serve me well in the years to come. So I have a warm place in my heart for Silvermine College of Art, and will always have a warm place. And it's a joy to see all these people and the faculty members, and to see how everybody's progressed. And it's absolutely astounding, some of the work that they're doing right now.
Silvermine was a place, sort of a boot camp for a lot of us. It was a very exciting time in the 60s, and it was an experimental creative center, and we all sort of got jump-started into a lot of artistic careers.
I used to do it. Yes. Can you believe it?
What I don't believe, I recognize what I don't believe is I remember his name. Oh, well, I remember the
No, I remember Bruce's name, and that was a long time ago.
Yeah, Interloft. No heat.
Yeah, Ribbons.
We're still there. Same dump we used to.
We had this discussion about no heat, no lofts.
So just generally now we're getting together here, and it's been a long time, I think, before a lot of us have seen each other's work. Some of us have remained friends, but we're seeing other people we haven't seen for a while. So this is a recent Silvermine show.
I remember sitting in the middle of the stream bed painting. I remember I had Tony DeMeglio as a teacher, and he was really wonderful for painting. And I really enjoyed the sculpture department too. And the whole atmosphere, I mean, different people to know.
And I guess that's the thing about something like this, is you're expecting to be surprised, and you are. You're surprised because, for instance, I hadn't talked to Chet Augustine for 25 years or something like that. I talked to him last month, and it was like we'd been speaking to each other every week or something. We just picked up where we left off and continued the conversation like familiar friends. So it's sort of odd the way a strong connection like that seems to stay together, and you just immediately build on it. Mark is supposed to be taking me back. I hope, but he hasn't shown up yet. I hope I don't get stuck.
He's a master at putting up shows. I mean, he did this thing. I couldn't believe it. All by himself. All I did was he said, hold this. He just knows how to do things.
Right. No, Greg's got a good eye, and he's industrious. illustrious. He's not afraid to jump up and do something.
Nice painting too. I love that painting.
Yeah.